Welcome to the Cosmic Prayer. My name is Laura Topper, and I am just feeling so excited for today's broadcast. And welcome here, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. It's so great to be here with you, connecting heart to heart, mind to mind, in the one mind, as the one mind, opening up here for a deeper conversation about prayer as our spiritual practice, about prayer as a gateway to opening our hearts and our minds for creating and demonstrating the life that we truly desire. And so, welcome here. Your comments are welcomed. It will be great to know who you are and where you are. So, please take advantage of the Facebook feed and be a part of this wonderful conversation today. We're here every Monday. Every week, I invite a guest who inspires me, somebody who I know is doing incredible work in the world and has a light and is shining their light and guiding others as they guide themselves to demonstrating the life that they truly desire to live. And this week, we have an incredibly amazing individual. He's here waiting in the wings, and I'd just like to introduce him to you and for me as well, because I'm learning a little bit more about Zoe Muro. Zoe came to and joined New Thought Media Network a few months ago and brought his own incredible program here, Choice, Your Creative Superpower. And Zoe is a practitioner, a religious science licensed practitioner. And he holds his license, and his ministry is really with Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. He's a practitioner there in Northern California. And Zoe's originally from New York. I love that. And he moved to the West Coast over 30 years ago, following his heart. And this move brought him a greater clarity and energy into his search for spiritual growth. And this is great, because I love hearing this, that Zoe was really, or it still is really on that journey of unfolding, following his heart. So as I said, Zoe is in Northern California, and he works as a transformational coach with his own business, and he really enables clients to bring about a more fulfilling and authentic life for themselves, benefiting themselves, their families, and the world. And so I know that as part of the prayer team here, an integral part of the prayer team here on New Thought Media Network, Zoe uses prayer for his life, an example of using spiritual mind treatment. And I'm just excited for you to be here, and thank you for being here and saying yes to coming on to the Cosmic Prayer. Zoe Muro, drum roll.
Hello, Laura. Thank you so much for having me. It is truly an honor to be here.
Well, it's great. I love it, because we've worked together over the last couple of months, bringing you and your show into your broadcast, Choice, Creative Superpower, into New Thought Media Network. So I just feel really blessed and honored that you're here right now, sharing more intimately about your idea of prayer and how prayer has guided you and transformed your life. So Zoe, I love this piece. You're from New York originally, and you moved to the West Coast over 30 years ago. And a part of that, it feels like, was your spiritual search and your quest. You're on a kind of vision quest to open up your heart to knowing more about spirituality and accepting that more in a different way. What was it that really guided you to make that move?
So after I tell you, you might wish that you had asked that question before the show started. I actually moved to the West Coast. I actually moved to the West Coast because of this woman that I had met when I was traveling. I used to travel across, actually, around the world teaching. I was in IT at the time. And I had a whole variety of different things that I would teach in various places. And I came out to California, and I met this crazy redhead, um, and we just hit it off. And we had this wild 3,000-mile romance for the longest time. And after my kids were grown and left home, I said, well, I might as well relocate. So I relocated to the West Coast, and that relationship fell apart instantaneously. Um, you've probably heard the
Okay.
expression that familiarity breeds contempt.
Yes.
So absence made the heart grow
Yeah.
fonder, familiarity bred contempt, and we actually had very little in common. So, um, but I
Right.
found out here in California, I found um, a comfort and a peace that I did not find in New York City at all. I actually allowed myself to slow down. I allowed myself to take in more of my environment. Um, so initially, while my impetus to come out here was not necessarily terribly spiritual, uh, it certainly did become so, because what I found out was I needed to have a new community out here. So I searched around and I found a bunch of wonderful, wonderful people in a variety of ways. I At the time, I was in recovery from alcohol and addiction. So AA and NA were a big part of my life, and I found people there. I also started working on aspects of my own recovery that went beyond that. I am very open about my life, very open about where I came from, very open about the obstacles that I've faced. Um, and one of them, a very, very big one, was having been abused as a child. Um, so when I was out here, I was actually able to find people that were working on abuse issues. And I joined a community for a group called Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. And I became a very, very involved part of that community. And I found that there were so many people involved in so many aspects of their spiritual growth that I, this was where I needed to be. Even though I had grown considerably from when I first went into recovery, which is at about the age of about 30, um, I moved out here, my recovery just took off in so many different ways. So there were all of these different aspects of my life and of my spirituality that I didn't even realize needed shoring up. I didn't even realize that these were these gaping holes in my understanding of myself. So I went from what I often refer to as the ridiculous to the sublime. Uh, so
Yeah.
that's how I got out here.
And that's thank you for sharing so authentically, and for sharing that part of your life and your story, and for allowing us to see, I can hear, that you were following your heart, and your heart led you into something that you truly needed, so that you could expand and evolve as a spirit humanoid, here on this planet Earth. And you were given this incredible, following your heart to California, then opening up to the new, and being willing and ready to do the work that you knew that you were called to do. And that's really beautiful, because for so many, I think that can be a challenge, to have to start follow your heart for one reason, and then it turns out to be another reason, and it might not always be so sweet.
Yeah, followed my
Yeah,
heart and fed my soul.
really, really. And so, firstly, I want to welcome in people that are watching here. Fiona, welcome from Geneva. This is fantastic that you're tuning in from Geneva. And Bonnie, um, calling in here from Mexico. Oh, two favorite people. You are my favorite person. And I love you, Bonnie. And Bonnie has her show. I know you've been on her show, is coming up in a couple of hours' time. Your doula for grief. And I want to get a little bit more into this with you, Zoe, right now, because I'd like for you to be able to share how prayer infused that. How prayer, what part did prayer play, if any, in that transformational time that you were in at that time, and how that's continued for your life?
Well, prayer and I had a very interesting relationship, to say the very least. I was uh, brought into a Roman Catholic uh, environment as a child, which did not particularly serve me terribly well. And I struggled significantly trying to find um, a spiritual home. Let's put it that way. Um, so I really did not have much of a connection to prayer for quite a few years. It wasn't until I found Science of Mind that prayer really made a difference for me. Prior to that, prayer was absolutely about supplication. It was, um, I think I bargained more than anything else when I prayed. It was like, oh God, please, help me with this. And, I know I'll be a better person. And and it was not terribly successful. What a surprise. Um, so I really don't feel that I had a good connection to prayer until I did find Science of Mind. Once that happened, then I can talk about how that has really changed me. So the very
Yes.
first thing that I would say about it is the idea that prayer was not about supplication was just it was absolutely revolutionary. It was like, how could that possibly be? Because I was brought up with the idea, and even quite honestly, even going through 12-step programs, the idea that there are, to use their terminology, defects of character, all right, and ways in which you need to be forgiven and need to be that you're in essence wrong and you need to be made right. The whole thing took a lot of work to get past. But once I understood that, hey, if God is all there is, and I am and literally made of God's stuff, well, to put it very simply, looking at this drawing that I saw in a children's um, room one time, a little playroom that they had. It was like, God don't make no junk. And it's like,
Okay.
all right. So if God don't make no junk, then I can buy into this concept. And being able to visualize, being able to find that mental equivalent of what it was that I wanted as opposed to what I did
Yes.
not want made all the difference in the world. I mean, it's like if you say, I would really like to have a picture of my puppy. All right, sounds like a great idea. And then you go out and say, okay, but don't give me a picture of a cat. Don't give me a picture of an elephant. Don't give me a picture of a porpoise. It's like, well, that's not getting me any closer to the picture of the puppy. And affirmative prayer works that way for me. It's that clarity. It's that ability to envision and to feel what it is that I have envisioned that has made such a huge difference. I mean, I when I pray, I find that I am not transported someplace else. I am here. I am here. And in that ability to be so completely present, I find that all of the things that confuse me, all of the things that frighten me, all of those things drop away because I can focus on what is real, what is true for me. So being able to recognize that and saying, all right, yes, I have dealt with addiction. Yes, I have dealt with abuse. Yes, I have dealt with all of these different circumstances and conditions. Not a single one of them defined me.
Mm.
But when I pray, I am defining who I am. I am declaring who I am. I am celebrating who I am.
So it feels as if you you surrendered at some point, at some moment, to allowing yourself to redefine who you are and your relationship with God and who God and what God is. It feels as if it was your relationship, your understanding of your relationship to the divine that shifted, where you weren't the one in the wrong anymore. You were the one who's perfect, whole, and complete, as we each are. And that must have been huge. That must have been like a breakthrough moment for you, for your life.
To say the least, to say the least. And, you know, the relationship of those that changed to my life. I was the show that I do on Thursdays, Choice, Your Creative Superpower. This last one, I was talking about relationships and choice. And one of the things that was brought out in discussions of what's an important choice that one can make in their life, a lot of people said, "Well, who you marry, or who you see as your partner." And I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, "Well, that's not my number one. My number one is actually my relationship to my spirituality, my relationship to God."
Yes.
And I said, and she said, "Well, I'm not number one." I said, "No, no, no. Actually, you're not even number two, because after that, then there's me, and then after me, then there's you, and everyone." And as terrible as that sounded, it made perfect sense when I thought it through, because for me to be truly who I am in a relationship with another person, I need to understand who I am. I need to be able to
Yes.
represent who I am. I need to be truly who I am. And how am I going to do that if I'm not looking inward? And how am I going to do that if I am not recognizing my connection to the one? So it does start there. And my relationship
Yes.
with God, having shifted so significantly, allowed me to shift how I viewed myself, and allowed me to then interact in a very different way. And Laura, I'll tell you quite honestly, and as I said, my life is an open book. I'll tell you anything. I had failed marriages. I had failed relationships over and over and over. My wife and I have now been married for 16 years, and I would never have had that. Never would have had that if I had not been able to be on this journey. Um, I learned so much. I learned so much, and I was able to get past those points that typically would have just destroyed any relationship that I had, as it always had in the past.
Right. And isn't it incredible how when we're at certain points of this adventure, that we will draw in the people that will subconsciously and consciously, maybe not so much consciously, but they will support us with where we are at that point. And so so it's truly beautiful that you are standing in your own knowing of who you are and your own truth, and developing your own connection with the divine, and having that freedom to do so with your wife who loves you and supports you in that, and you're inspiring her and many others to do that as well, to develop this core relationship with who we truly are. Really, that's what I believe, who we are. And so what shifted then after that? How then did prayer, what part did prayer then play in your life?
Okay. So it comes in kind of in two parts. In one part, praying for myself. Okay. It was my way of reestablishing whatever it is that I need at any particular time. So I go through my day, and I have heard the expression that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and I often
I talked about this yesterday.
I often say that we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience, because the way I look at it, everything I do is spiritual. Everything I do is connected to spirit. Everything I do is a form of a prayer, because it's about how I want to be in the world. But when I formally pray, I love the form of affirmative prayer. I love that it asks me to start off with just remembering,
Yes,
recognizing. And it's like, it all starts there, doesn't it?
it does.
I mean,
It certainly does.
it's just, I have to say, when I was in prac studies, or actually prior to prac studies, when I first encountered affirmative prayer, I was like, oh, formulas, really? I don't like formulas. And I don't think I could do this. And it took me the longest time to listen to what I was being told. What I was being told is just focus on that first step. Just focus on recognizing, on remembering who God is. And being able to do that at any point in my day enables me to slow down, enables me to focus. It enables me to envision. And then taking it to the point of, all right, well, if this is true of God, this is true of me. There comes a comfort in that, and kind of a relaxation. It's like you inhale on the recognition, and then you get to exhale on the unification. It's like, it's going to be okay.
Yes.
And then you get to that realization. It's like, yes. And then I can see it. I can see how it's manifesting. So being able to do that just provides a reset button, if you will.
Yes. Yes. And I'm really honoring you and your, what you have shared, what you're sharing right now. And I'm just, putting myself into that place of compassion, because your journey and your childhood, that's an abrupt shift to make, to then make that change, to seek God, to know God, and to live your life from God right now, and to develop that on a daily basis. And does forgiveness come into that? How has that been a part of your journey and your rewriting of this story?
Forgiveness was a crucial part of this, an absolute crucial part. And it starts with forgiving myself for something that need not ever be forgiven. I mean, it's a very common thing among people who have suffered abuse that they blame themselves. They say, I should have been able to fight the person off, or I should have been in a different situation, or whatever it might be. And it's ludicrous. It's terrible that people think that way. So it starts there. It starts with that aspect of self-forgiveness. And then it moves outward to forgiving my abusers. And that was a years and years and years and years of work, effort, and being able to recognize once again the divinity of all, that we all come from the same source, puts a huge, huge, I don't want to say a responsibility to forgive, but I'll say an opportunity to forgive. Recognizing that hurt people. Recognizing that what a person does and who a person is, not necessarily the same.
Yes.
So another aspect of forgiveness is not only understanding, but it's also recognizing that forgiveness it's kind of similar to healing. All right. When I talk about healing, it doesn't necessarily mean that the illness has disappeared or the condition has disappeared. But it might very well be that I have come to a place of understanding, that I have come to a place of acceptance, that I have come to a place of being open to other possibilities, of being able to channel my wholeness, my completeness, my perfection, and to visualize that and to bring that into my spirit. And many times that does lead to a true physical healing. But whether it does or not, if it gets me to a place of understanding, a place of comfort, a place of being able to move forward, then it has done what it needs to do. And forgiveness is very much like that. It's the idea that what happened does not define me.
Yes.
Nor does it define the abusers.
The other.
Right. So, yeah, forgiveness was an absolute key. I mean, the amount of energy that is freed up when you can forgive is enormous. You know, we only have so much energy. Actually, we have an enormous amount, more than we ever imagined. But because of our own mental limitations or our own lack of understanding, we believe that we have this limited amount of energy. Well, if you believe that, fine. Let's use it more productively.
And so this leads me to what you are doing now and how you are bringing all of your light and your revealing into the world and sharing this with others and teaching others also how they can harness their own energy or the energy and harness themselves and their idea of their stories and beliefs and ideas. Firstly, though, I really would love to just welcome in Bonnie again. Thank you, Bonnie, for sharing, powerful sharing. And Robin, hello, hi, welcome to the Cosmic Prayer with Zoda Muro. And Elijah Hakeem, welcome here. It's great to have you here, for you to be here today. How are you? Loving your show and what you're doing to transform people's lives. So this is great. Please share if you have questions for Zoe or any comments, just pop them in here as we're journeying along with this conversation. We're here with Zoda Muro, who is a licensed practitioner and has an extremely high consciousness and brings his own light to the world with the work he's doing. You can find him on his website. You can find him here now, but if you want to look at his website afterwards, Living Fully Wellness. And Zoe has a program here on the New Thought Media Network called Choice Your Creative Superpower. So I'm interested in this and why choice? Why choice? I mean, I know I have my idea of this, and I'd love you to share about choice being our creative superpower, and how and if you believe prayer can be a part of that transformation with what it is that we're choosing and what we're not choosing.
Okay. When the idea of that I am a co-creator of my life, when that came about, when I understood that, the idea that choice was absolutely the most important aspect of that, I was like, all right, so when do I get to choose? Now, I've had all these different things that have happened, but how do I get to choose? I realized that, first of all, there were many, many, many more times that I actually made choices than I thought I did. There were times that I made choices unconsciously. There were times that I made choices that weren't mine. They were somebody else's choice, and I just kind of went along with it. And it was like, all right, if I am going to take responsibility for my life, if I am going to truly be a co-creator of my life, then the choices that I make have to make a difference. The choices that I don't make have to make a difference. Being able to see places where choice is possible has to make a difference. Yes. So that is why I specifically refer to it as a superpower. I came up with this term choice points, and I was so pleased with myself. I was like, what a great term. Well, I've since found out that the term's been around since the 1950s. I didn't create it.
You tapped in.
And
you brought it back.
Well, we say there's only one consciousness. So
yeah.
So I downloaded. But I found this definition of choice points that I really like. And it says a choice point occurs when conditions appear that create a path between the present course of events and a new course leading to new outcomes. The choice point is like a bridge, making it possible to begin one path and change course to experience the outcome of a new path.
I love that. Could you please read it out again? Because
Sure.
I think it's one of those.
A choice point occurs when conditions appear that create a path between the present course of events and a new course leading to new outcomes. The choice point is like a bridge, making it possible to begin one path and change course to experience the outcome of a new path. Now, tell me that doesn't sound like affirmative prayer.
So empowering. Yes. And so empowering.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We talk about empowering. We are already empowered. No one has to give us that, but we have to see it. We have to recognize it. We have to believe it. We have to feel it.
Yes. And so do you believe that most of us, or for many of us, I mean, to the degree that we're all walking around with within this milieu of, race suggestion, of mass consciousness that is kind of like the matrix of the fog, and it's easier to comply with that because it's what we know. And it's not always easy to create a whole new pathway, because it means creating a new habit as well and being consistent with that habit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And, you talk about prayer and the idea of praying every day.
Yes.
It's at this point in my life, it's not even something that I consider or think about. It's what I do. It has gone from a habit to a behavior.
Right.
And I suppose it's even gone
Right.
beyond behavior to identity. It's what I am. It's who I am.
And do you see that working with people, because you have a consultancy, you're a life coach, and you help people to reveal this for themselves, and do you use prayer and offer prayer, spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, so that others that come to you can open up their lives and hearts to seeing their lives differently using prayer?
That has been an interesting challenge. I work with people as a practitioner, of course, and we always pray together. When I'm
Yes.
working with someone who comes from outside of our philosophy and is not even looking at things from what they would refer to as a spiritual perspective, although when they say spiritual, they tend to be saying really religious.
Yes.
When I'm working with people that don't want to talk about God, we have a bit of a challenge because we don't pray. All right. What we will do, however, is we'll visualize. We always start with visioning.
Great.
And we start with the idea of understanding that they have choice. All right. So I build in as much as I can of affirmative prayer without actually using the same words. So recognizing, for
Yes.
example, that, I mean, one of the things that I say all the time to my clients is that, yes, you might have doubts, but you know what? My certainty is greater than your doubts because I am certain that you have your answers within you, that you have the ability within you to find what it is that you need, that you have within you the strength, the comfort, the ability to self-soothe, the ability to be open to new possibilities and ideas. All of that is there already. All we're doing is we're opening up that path. We're clearing things out. So it's all of the same techniques, the same processes, the same philosophy, just expressed differently.
And you're holding that consciousness as you are the one that is knowing that your prayer is working, that you're affirming, and you are doing the treatment, and you are you have this new identity of who you are as this divine power and presence, and that can only infuse into anybody that comes across our paths. And I believe that when we're in spiritual practice, those that we meet are in some way, we're drawing the right people. We're always drawing those people in towards us who are ready to either learn from us or us to learn from them.
Yeah,
It's a
that
two-way
second part is
street.
the one. Yeah, that second one is always the one that surprises me. It's like, why do I keep getting these people with these issues? Oh yeah, that's why.
Oh, yes. Oh, it's amazing. So tell me, you're now at your center, which is Center for Spiritual Living, Oakland, California, in California. And it must feel amazing. I don't know, I'm just projecting this, but how does it feel to be there now, being a practitioner now, doing all of the work that you're doing for humanity and for your community? How does that feel, Zoe, when you know what brought you here, what led you to this, and the work that you've done personally to let go or to dissolve and to take on that new knowing and identity for yourself?
I would say over the past week alone, I must have had this conversation with about half a dozen people about how I could never have imagined that this is what my life would be. I just looked at my desk this morning, and now I was preparing for my next Thursday show. And I was looking around at my desk and I was thinking, this is what I do? This is amazing. I get to pray. I get to express aspects of spirituality. I get to talk about loving spirit. This is what I do for a living. This is astounding. The things that happened in my life, as terrible and as miserable as they were, they led me to this. They led me to this moment. They led me to this opportunity. They led me to this understanding. And I am blessed. I mean, literally, it says so right on my desk. It says blessed.
And you know what, though, Zoe, you also said yes to doing the work, and that's an incredible yes. That's an incredible blessing that you said yes, because I see how it can be that can be difficult. That's not an easy yes to have said yes to. And so you did it, and you turned it around, and now you're the one that's understanding God in this incredible way and living in the flow from a higher consciousness, from a different knowing for your life. So can you share maybe as we're coming into it's just incredible how over 40 minutes is just like, oh, could be here all day talking with you. So for those that may be listening now, or it may not relate to anybody that's listening now, or at some point when somebody listens, if this does relate, what would you have to share with them, to offer them, if they're going through some kind of real life upheaval, trauma, and may not be feeling that they have that strength that you had? What would you say, impart to that person right now if they were here?
Okay. First thing that I always tell people is, if you do not feel that you can stand solidly on your own 2 feet, then lean on somebody. Find someone that you can trust. Find someone where you feel safe and lean on them. There's an expression that I saw that, I'll run until I can no longer run, and then I'll walk until I can no longer walk, and then I'll crawl until I can no longer crawl, and then I'll have someone pick me up. Words to that effect. I've seen many variations of it, but that's really what it comes down to. Being able to be open to being helped is important. There is a strength in being able to reach out. And just recognizing that you need help is a good sign. I've worked with people who have told me, look, I want to be able to tell you that I want to have something different in my life, but I just don't feel that I'm there. It's like, well, do you feel that you want that? And I've actually had people say, well, I feel like I want that. So that's good enough. You're not saying I can't. Yes. You're not saying I won't. So as long as there is that spark, as long as there is that essence, that flame, whatever it might be.
Yes.
Fine. Find someone who can nourish it. Find someone who is willing to say, there is more. Find someone who's willing to say, you are worth it. So, does that answer the question?
Yes. Wow. That really does. It takes me back to Louise Hay, who who taught that if we can't say I love myself, that we can always say I'm willing to love myself. And if we can't say I'm willing to love myself, we can say I'm willing to be willing. And there can be as many willings as needed as possible. And I think that's so true what you've said. I really love that about if we can't stand on our own 2 feet, find somebody else who can support us in that moment. That's such a good gauge, I think, for knowing that we're not alone. We're not alone in any of this. We can reach out in any moment. And there's always somebody there. There's always somebody there, even if it's turning to a prayer ministry of prayer, or a center that has a prayer circle, or a friend that we can trust.
Yep. Fiona wrote, recommend the New Thought Media Network to that person for healing prayers, programs, and community connections. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you are a prayer practitioner. You hold practitioner sessions, Zoe, and you here's your website, Living Fully Wellness, where people can go to and find out more about you and connect with you from there. And I know that's the same Facebook address as well for people to find you, Living Fully Wellness, and listening to your broadcast, Choice Your Creative Superpower. What day is it? Thursdays. I'm not going to say, is it? Yes, of course it is. 1 p.m.
No, it's at 12 p.m. Mountain.
12 p.m. Mountain. Yeah, there you go.
11 a.m. Pacific.
1 p.m. Central. And you would get it somewhere.
Ungodly time in the UK.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And so tune into Zoe's show this week at 11 a.m. Pacific on New Thought Media Network. And if you like and subscribe, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, you will be notified. You will get that little bell going off on your notifications to let you know about all of the programming and about Zoe's program and show and his teachings, which he brings to the network. And we're so blessed, Zoe, that you're here sharing in such a profound and such an authentic and genuine way, and really being that open portal with your life and sharing from your own life experience. That's so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so, as always on the Cosmic Prayer, we complete the Cosmic Prayer with a spiritual mind treatment. And I'd love for you to share that treatment today. Normally I join and I'm just having this download. No, Zoe needs to be doing this. This is Zoe. Would you?
By all means. By all means.
And if there's anyone here in the watching right now that is in need or seek anything for demonstration, just pop that into the chat, and we can weave this into the prayer today, the spiritual mind treatment. And just while that's coming through, if just until we get to that point, to remind viewers that yes, we are New Thought Media Network, a dynamic global focus ministry, bringing programming to the world, to humanity, for humanity, every single day of the year. All sorts of different programs and shows and teachings and events and education and entertainment and discussions and prayer. So many different things. So tune into the website to find out more about the shows and the presenters. And of course, there is the donate button there where you can be woven into the vision of this network, which is doing amazing and incredible things, bringing programming to people's hearts and minds. So here we go. Fiona, thank you. Prayers for a loving, supportive global community. Oh, there we are. We can put that in, and whatever it is that comes through Zoe, in this moment for spiritual mind treatment. I'm going to put you onto the main screen, Zoe.
Let's see. And Bonnie has said prayers to remain open to receive the guidance of spirit in my daily life. All right. Let's see what we can work in here, folks. So let's take a breath together. And I want to emphasize the word together. We have, each of us, the one source of love, the one source of life, the one source of all, the Creator. Whether we refer to the Creator as loving spirit, as God, as Gaia, whatever we might choose, we know that there is this incredible power, this incredible source for each and every one of us. And we know that that one source has imbued each of us with the most magnificent abilities, the most magnificent gifts, the most magnificent talents. Because within that one, within that love, there is the most incredible capability for compassion, the most incredible sense of wisdom, the most incredible ability to be the place where the light and the love can shine in this world. All of that is our divine birthright. And so knowing that this is who and whose we are, and knowing that our thoughts and our feelings contribute to the greater consciousness, we know that we have this opportunity as those who believe in love, as those who believe in that wisdom and believe in that compassion, to allow all of that to flow through and in and as each of us, to bring all of that energy out into the world, and to know that that energy makes a difference. If we can look at headlines and we can feel the pain from those headlines, we can feel the pain from the things that happen in this world that bring suffering and bring pain, we know that that affects us. Well, we also know that we have the ability through love to overcome that. We have the ability within us to connect to who and whose we are, to say that that love and that compassion can flow out into the world, to know that our greatest good is always present. Having the ability to recognize our truth, having the ability to accept the welcoming and engaging and supportive love of the one, whether that is expressed through meditation and you can feel and hear God's voice, or whether it is the hand of a loved one holding yours, or whether it's an open heart of someone praying for you, or whether it is the Spirit simply holding you and blessing you and knowing for you that you are perfect, whole, and complete. However it is that this goodness comes out into the world, it brings a light, it brings a joy, it brings a warmth that can only succeed. There is no darkness can withstand the light. There is no cold that can withstand the heat. There is nothing that can stand against the power of love, the power of the one. And so knowing that this is not just a gift, something that we had given, but knowing that this is indeed who we are in every possible moment, in every possible way, I give thanks. I give thanks. I am joyful to know that this is my life. I am joyful to know that this is the life of each and every person who hears this prayer. This is the life of each and every person on this planet. How glorious that is. And so I release my word to the law that always says yes, to the law that says yes joyously, because these are the beloved of the beloved. And so it is.
And so it is. And so it is. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you for being here today, for inspiring me and the viewers, and for shining your light. Bonnie is mentioning here. Yeah. My life is touched by that prayer, Zoe. Thank you. Thank you, Zoe, and to everybody that's tuned in here today to be here with the prayer with me, with Zoe Muro, practitioner, teacher, spiritual teacher, wisdom teacher, guide, and life coach and mentor. And you can find Zoe on his website at Living Fully Wellness. livingfullywellness.com. Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, everyone. And we will stay tuned in because we have practical prayer coming up in a minute on New Thought Media Network. And then Bonnie Gonzalez with Your Doula for Grief. She is your doula for grief. Bye, everyone.